Okay, just did the circle slash method on this game. It's a lot easier. So here is a walkthrough on how to do it. So we're doing prep test 45, game 3. This is the photograph one. You were totally right. The circle slash does work a lot better. So we have photographs of 7 friends. We have R, S, T, U, W, Y, and Z. The friends appear either alone or in groups with one another. So basically what we're doing here is the circle slash for this is not necessarily are they alone or are they together. It's more of who can be with each other, who hates each other. So for example, if I circle W and Y, I'm saying that in this group where Y is out, W can be with T and Z. They don't have to be together. It could be that T and Z are by themselves, or W and Z are just the only two in that group. But if I have Z, that means that Y can't be with them. So that's kind of what we're looking at here, is who likes each other enough to be in a photograph, who hates each other enough to not be in a photograph. But I think the questions in this kind of don't distinguish it too much about that. So let's go ahead and look at our rules and kind of do the circle slash for this. So the first rule says Wendy appears in every photograph that S appears in. So trigger variable being S. Knowing where S is going to determine if W is in there or not. So if I create another world and I say I'm going to have one where S is in, S is out, if I know that S is appearing in this photograph, then that means that W is also going to have to appear. So I'm going to circle W. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Thinking too much about this game. The next rule says S appears in every photograph that U appears in. So in this case, knowing where if U is appearing or if U is not appearing is going to determine if I can have S in there or not. So I'm just going to create separate worlds. There's a shortcut you can kind of do to this one. And I'll show it to you and you can decide if you want to do it or not. So in this one, I know that you could appear or you cannot appear. So I'm going to circle one, I'm going to slash one. And that means that in every photograph you appears in, I'm going to have S in there. Now in my second world, the shortcut being is we know that S is not part of this group. S does not like anyone who's a part of this group. So if we have you appearing in it, that means that we would have to then circle S, which doesn't happen. I can't circle S when I have it slashed. So the shortcut method being I can just slash out W in this world, because if I circle W, that means I'm going to have to circle S, and I can't do that. If that's too hard for you, you can break it up again. See that circling W or circling U means that you have to circle S, not possible. So if you can do the shortcut, you can. If you can't, no worries. The next rule says R appears in every photograph that Y does not appear in. Okay. I'm creating a lot of different worlds in this one. And I'm seeing in my next world or my next rule that W is being talked about. And I know where W is in some of these worlds. So I'm going to hold off on rule 3. Because if I can figure out where, or I guess I could say, you don't necessarily have to go in order of your rules. You can go in any order so long as you fully implement your rules. So I'm going to pick a rule that I kind of already know where some of my variables are. So for example, in that 4th rule, neither T nor R appears in any photograph that W appears in. So if I know W is appearing, I know that R and T cannot appear in it. And I have 2 worlds where W is appearing. So I can just go in there automatically and slash out R and T. In this world, I'm going to have to think about where W goes, because that's going to determine where my R and T are going to go. So I'm going to have one world where W is circled, one world where W is slashed. And this rule applies when W is appearing. That means I can't have T or R, which means I can slash out R and T. But in the world where W does not appear, I don't know anything about it. I can't do anything about it. So I leave it alone. Now, when I go back up to that third rule, the reason why I skipped down to that other rule is now I can kind of figure out my R and Y rule, because now I figured out where majority of my R's are. So it kind of domino effects. It's not necessary that you have to do that, but it's kind of a shortcut if you can kind of domino affect your stuff. So the third rule says R appears in every photograph that Y does not appear in. So again, we can kind of do a little shortcut with this one, because we know that if we don't have Y, that means that we're going to have R. But in my first three worlds, I don't have R, which means if I think about it, if I decided to circle Y, or sorry, if I decided to slash Y, I'd have to circle R, but I can't have that happen because R is already slashed. So I'm going to circle Y in these worlds because I can't do my other option. Now in my last world, I don't know where R is. I don't know where Y is. So I'm going to break it up and do it based on Y, because knowing where Y is going to help me figure out where R is. So I have one where Y is in, Y is out. This rule applies when Y is not appearing, which means that R is going to appear in every photograph. So I can circle R. That's my diagram. So we'll go through our questions now, which become a lot easier than brute forcing it, in my opinion. So definitely a game I would have done circle slash with after looking at it for a while. So the list question, we've gone over that before, but go through your rules, eliminate the ones that you can. In this case, being our correct answer being B, R, T, Y, and Z could appear in a photograph together. I can have that in this world. I can have R, T, Y, and Z. Those are my options. (14) If T and Z appear together in a photograph, then which one of the following must be true? So I'm looking for the worlds where I have T and Z together, or could have T and Z together. That could be in this world, could be in this world. So I have two worlds I'm looking at. It's a must be true, so it has to happen 100% of the time, happening in both of those worlds. S also appears in the photograph. That actually has to be false. I can't have S in these photographs. They hate T and Z, I guess. Y appears in the photograph. Doesn't have to be true. Y could happen in that first world, but it doesn't have to happen in that last world. So because it's not a must be true, it's not our answer. W appears in the photograph. It has to be false, actually, because W is excluded in both those groups. R does not appear in the photograph. Doesn't have to happen. We could have R appear in that photograph in this world. So that's not our answer choice. U does not appear in the photograph. That has to happen. It happens in both worlds where U is excluded. So that's going to be our answer choice. What is the maximum number of friends who could appear in the photograph that Y does not appear in? And this is why I like circle slash. If we were brute forcing this, I don't know. It would have taken me probably a long time to figure out this question, because it's asking me for a number, a specific number. So it's a lot harder to figure out. Sorry. Than like a could be true or must be true, because it could just be one scenario where this is happening. So we're going to look at the world where Y does not appear, and that is my last world. And we're looking for the maximum number of friends who could appear in the photograph. So we could have one, well, we have to have one, but we could have 2, 3, T and Z. That leads us to our answer choice being 3. That's the maximum that we can have when Y is excluded. Our next one says, if U and Z appear together in a photograph, then exactly how many of the other friends must also appear in that photograph? So this is kind of like, there's like 3 things I want to talk about with this question. First being, it's an if question. It's narrowing it down to U and Z appearing together in a photograph. So I'm going to look for the world where that could happen. Only happens in this world. U and Z could be together. the other part I wanted to talk about is how many of the other friends. So it's very important to note if your rule or if your question is talking about the other people or in total. Some of your questions that are like this could say, then how many people could appear together? And we're talking about all of them. But because they threw in this other, this word other, that means that we're excluding U and Z. So we're only looking at the other people that could be included, which would be S, W, and Y. That's why our answer choice is 3, is because we only have 3 other people than U and Z. And it's also a must be true. Doesn't really like have an effect in this game because there's only one world where this happens. But if we were to have a second world, we'd have to make sure that that S, Y, or S, W, and Y appear in that other world. I think I said it. The correct answer is 3 because we have S, W, and Y. Last question says, if exactly 3 friends appear together in a photograph, then each of the following could be true except. So I'm gonna look at my worlds where I could have 3 people in my photograph. This rules out this world. I could have it here, Y or W, Y, Z. Could have it here, S, W, Y. Could have it here. I have Y. I could have any of the other 2. And I could have it in this world. I could have R, T, and Z. So unfortunately, I only eliminate one of my worlds, which kind of sucks. We're looking for something that could be true except. So 4 of my correct answer choices could be true. The other one cannot be true. It's our exception. So can it be true that S and Z both appear in the photograph? I don't have a world where I have S and Z circled together. If I have Z circled, I'm going to have S slash. And if I have S slash or circled, then I have Z slashed. So I like this as my answer choice as of now. T and Y both appear in the photograph. I could have that happen. I can make that happen in this world. I can have T and I can have Y together. So that's wrong. W and S appear in the photograph. I could have that happen up here. Could have W and S happening. That's wrong. Y and Z both appear. Could have that happen here. And I could actually have that happen down there. So I have 2 worlds where that happens. We can have Y and Z circled together. Z and R both appear in the photograph. Could have that happen here. And it actually has to happen down here. Could have Z and R circled. So because I can make all my other answer choices true, A is going to be my correct answer choice because I cannot make that happen. Significantly easier when we do circle slash. And I think even when you kind of like look at your questions, it doesn't harp too much on them appearing in groups, them appearing alone, or like if they are appearing as groups, what form or combination that they're appearing in. Like it doesn't harp too much on only S and Z are appearing together within this one group or something like that. It more harps on like the collection of people who like to be together, who hate to be together. So it's significantly easier when we do circle slash for this game. If you have questions about this game with circle slash, let me know. Because I think the wording can just be kind of confusing. But once you get down the diagram, it becomes a lot easier. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions on this one.